So today I am joined by the illustrious James Key, who you may have seen in many other videos. But today he's with us. He's chosen to give us 1 hour of his time so we can really grill him and get an understanding of what he's about. James Key is not only a friend, but someone who's really helped me over the years and years and years I've known him. I actually checked on LinkedIn. We've known each other since 2014,
Wow.
and that's literally a decade.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
and
very cool.
I want to kind of share a quick story with you. Actually, when I was at my lowest, this is quite a sad story. Shouldn't even. I was at my lowest at one point, and I was like, I was running interesting content. I didn't know where the next sale was coming from, and I was like, oh, James, I spoke to three people: you, Miles Patterson, and James Han, Mike Han. You
Yeah, I
both
know
know
Mike.
them. I think they've been on your.
Yes, yeah, he's spoken at our events.
Yeah.
It's a good guy.
Three people I spoke to because they were like the best people I knew who could really, really help me with these things. And you may have known at that time, but I was like just going through some issues, like mostly work stuff and with stress and like what am I doing here? And you were working at LinkedIn at that time. And James invited me to have lunch with him at LinkedIn. They had not only one but three different kitchens, like a Michelin star chef and all that kind of stuff. So that was amazing. And it wasn't what you said, it was just like the fact that you gave me some time really meant so much to me. And since then, like I've always had so much time for you. And also we've done some work together as
We
well.
have. I mean, I appreciate you sharing that. And I remember it actually sitting at the top of the dining area. And LinkedIn was a great opportunity to provide people behind the scenes access. I
Yeah.
loved bringing people to the LinkedIn HQ in London. It was so fantastic. But ultimately, prior to LinkedIn, we were working in that basement in
Yeah, we
Mayfair.
met, in a basement.
No, it wasn't just any basement.
It was a basement of a £10 million house.
Yeah, and some I think. But what I appreciated, and obviously, the founder that ran the business in that has become a very successful kind of global CEO. But also, it was just the kind of the hustle and the willingness and the motivation to create something from nothing.
Yeah.
I think that's something we both share.
Yeah.
In terms of dreaming big.
Yeah.
And making things happen. And it's been a rocky journey for both of us.
Yeah.
But look how we continue to progress and evolve and develop. It's good.
No, and it's like we've had so many different things happen since then, different companies, different careers, personal issues, all sorts of things have happened. But one thing that's constant is, I hope I've been a good friend to you.
You have.
Because you have been with me. So,
Good man, son.
so for those of you who don't know who James Key is, so James is the CEO and founder of Sales Confidence. Previous to that, he held very senior positions at LinkedIn, Ametria, Drift, and a bunch of other very, very well-regarded companies within the industry. The names are too long to go through. I want to get straight in. James, you used to work for LinkedIn. What are your top tips for LinkedIn for those people watching?
Great question. I was a fan of LinkedIn before I worked at LinkedIn. I absolutely loved it even more once I actually got behind the scenes by working at LinkedIn, and I still love LinkedIn today.
Yeah.
A little unknown fact these days, but at one point I was the number one social seller on LinkedIn, at LinkedIn, in LinkedIn globally. I had a social selling index of 98 out of 100. So I don't think it was possible to get to 100. I made it my obsession to become the number one in the world. And I guess I did it in a few ways. One, you literally just have to let go of that voice in your head that suggests that you have no value to share with the world. Everybody has a perspective. Everybody has a unique set of experience. And it's very easy to look at others that are ahead of you, above you, further along their career than you, to make you feel like you are not ready to share. But I can guarantee you there's 1,000, 10,000 other people that are looking at you, hoping they could be where you are right now. So the first thing is to just let go of your ego, and be willing to put yourself out there and not be too concerned by the likes, the comments, the follows. That's the first thing. It's a mindset shift. The second is, it's a combination of text-based, image-based, and video-based content. You need to be posting a full variety of content that's going to hit the algorithm in a certain way and also engage your audience. For me, video, talking about interesting content, is the most powerful way to build your brand, tell your story, and build trust. It's the only way to create a level of familiarity with you as an individual, a person, and your business without physically sitting down with someone like we are today. So video would be my other absolute top tip. And again, the mindset with video is you've got to own your face.
Yeah.
Which I'm going to start getting t-shirts made with it, because you've only got one face. You are who you are. You look how you look. You sound how you sound.
Yeah.
And just be comfortable in your own skin and start putting yourself out there on video. The other thing is contributing to the conversation and commenting on other people's posts. If you can add value to other people's posts and if you can contribute to the conversation, other people that are interested in them will start connecting and following you. So that would be my third tip. I could go on, but I'm going to give you two more. The fourth would be, once you've made the connection request, once you've sent that initial message, it's all in the follow-up.
Yeah.
It's all in the follow-up. Don't underestimate the power of the follow-up. So many people send one connection request, one message, hoping that it's going to lead to a meeting, hoping that a new relationship is going to start. It's not enough. You need to consistently and persistently follow up in the conversation on LinkedIn. And then the fifth would probably be use LinkedIn to map out a circle of people that you admire, that you want to follow, that you want to be like. Everything that you want in your life has been done already by somebody else.
Wow.
Go onto LinkedIn, identify people that are 5-10 years ahead of you, and reach out to them, start building a relationship with them, invite them all to dinner, be the person that brings people together off LinkedIn into the real world. You start doing that, that's when you start to build real relationships, and that goes beyond just a digital connection.
Wow. In terms of, the last guest we had on, Christina, she had the same approach in terms of building relationships, so there's like this kind of analogy or this common thread that comes in from all these people we've spoken to. So check out that episode. I've got so many questions to ask you. This man is a wealth of knowledge, and I want to get straight into kind of the technical parts of it, because you've worked for some big companies and you've been leading many people in sales, and you have interactions with marketing people as well. How do you see the relationship between marketing and sales?
So they need to be in sync and in step, right? Ultimately, it is marketing that should be building awareness, driving top of funnel, creating attractive content that leads people into a funnel for a salesperson to engage. The reality is, though, the knowledge, the coal face is where the salespeople spend their time. And recorded calls, for example, is where the insights are. As a marketeer, it's not good enough for you just to do your own research. You need to pick up the phone as a marketeer, interact with the prospects, interact with the customers, and learn by listening to their actual needs. Also, there are so many ways to create demands that don't cost anything. But there's this idea from marketers that they need big budgets to run big campaigns. You don't, right? There's so many channels that you can leverage effectively to drive results. And I just think, marketers, especially in the UK, they're very focused on vanity metrics, like the number of followers or the number of likes, and not actually what's converting. So sales and marketing need to be in step with each other. They are absolutely critical relationships in a business. And the more they are in sync, the more effective and the faster growth that you're going to have.
Perfect. Can you give us some specific examples of how marketing has directly contributed to sales successes in the, in the positions you've had in these companies?
Yeah. So I guess from I've got a mixture of experience in kind of early stage scale up SaaS companies, and also a mega business like LinkedIn. Now, if I think of some of the guerrilla marketing tactics of the early B2B SaaS companies I worked for, Huddle was a great example. It was an early British, at the time, success story. It was a content collaboration platform competing with the likes of Dropbox, Box, and Yammer at the time. And, we had some really cool marketing leaders that were very savvy at guerrilla marketing. One example was, and I think you can still find the video on YouTube, one year they arranged for a marching band of about 100 musicians to march their way through the Microsoft SharePoint conference. And you can imagine the amount of publicity that got, right? Okay. So that's a great example of thinking outside the box and creating a big bang. Another great example, when Yammer got acquired by Microsoft, the team at Huddle, they got a billboard on the back of a lorry, parked it outside the Yammer office with a sign saying something along the lines of, you've just been acquired by Microsoft. If you're looking for a new career opportunity, come join Huddle. And there's this photo of everybody at Yammer taking this photo of the lorry outside, right? So I think there's a lot to be said for kind of creative guerrilla marketing campaigns. And also what I've seen work really well is those that work closely with the founders and the leadership team to build the personal brands of the leaders with content and build a much greater familiarity and awareness in the marketplace. Cliche, but people do buy from people, and people absolutely buy from people they trust. So the more engaging content that is created is highly effective. And then look, LinkedIn was very much skewed because it is the global monopoly for B2B relationships. So, their requirement to market beyond that was very different. It was only just before Microsoft acquisition that they started to do TV campaigns and radio and billboards, which was quite fun to watch, but it wasn't needed.
No, I've spent nearly 12 years on LinkedIn, and it's the first thing that I open up in my startup folder when I started my web browser. And the one thing is with LinkedIn, it's constant. It's B2B. They're not going to suddenly start getting influencers from B2C world to try and promote you products. It's just there, and it's my go-to resource for literally anything. Even when you came in, when I was doing my research, I kind of looked through everything just to kind of see if I can get any extra nugget stuff of things that I could pick up on that I didn't know about you. Of course, I know everything about you. I've been following you for a long time.
We're good friends.
As in, not physically, obviously.
Well, no, I don't think you've shown up at my gym just yet. But,
not yet.
That might happen.
I mean, I've met your kids.
Yeah.
Lovely. And they're just cutest, really. We filmed with your kids when we did the
Pogo.
Pogo, yeah.
Yeah, that was cool.
The actress we actually worked with just burst out into tears, and I was like, "What's happening?" And she said, "Oh, these kids are so cute." So yeah, that was something that happened behind the scenes. Best way for marketing teams to create marketing materials that are useful for sales. I know we kind of touched on this, but how do marketing teams know what's going to work for sales? Is it a constant feedback that you can go back and forth, or how do you what do you?
Yeah, I mean, look, ultimately is the conversation with the sales team, particularly the SDRs that are picking up the phones and having 10, 20 conversations, cold or warm, per day. And then really it's all in the transcripts from the call recordings. You want to use a call intelligence platform like Jiminy. They're a UK founded company, founded by a a couple actually, Tom and Shelley Lavery. And, they really are the leading platform to capture these insights, and marketing needs to be plugged in and be listening to those conversations on a daily basis, on the way to work, on the way home from work, during the day. That is where you will pick up everything you need to understand about your prospects and your buyers, and that will then inform and shape your content. It's as simple as that.
Perfect. You're the second person who's actually mentioned Jiminy, actually. Richard from Spotlight, I think he mentioned Jiminy is one of his go-to SaaS tools. So, there's something there. And I've met Tom at one of the events.
Yes.
Lovely guy. I think they're based in the coast.
Yeah. So they actually live in Brentwood and Essex, near me. And their office HQ is just by Aldgate Station.
Oh, perfect. So Jiminy, check them out. Next up, how do you make sure that the marketing collateral is informative and persuasive enough to generate interest from potential customers whilst not being a complete sales document?
Copywriting is a skill. It's not just writing. Writing is putting words on paper in an order. Copywriting is writing words that are persuasive, influential, that lead to a next step or sale. Like, it's a fundamental skill. It's very difficult to find excellent copywriters. And again, when you're putting something into text, you still need to tell a story. It's stories that sell. So, it's not just a feature dump or a benefits crib sheet. It's testimonials, it's case studies, it's stories of success that lead that person into the next step. Because ultimately, if they're doing the research, they are not yet ready to speak to sales. But that research must lead to a sales conversation at some point, or a kind of a click now, buy button on a website. So again, it's about those stories and articulating that in a way that is compelling, influential, and persuasive.
I think a lot of the times, when I get calls from cold calls or people trying to get hold of me to sell me some stuff, the first thing I say, send me your one pager or your collateral, and that is when I actually decide, okay, so this is the thing for me. And you're right, copywriting is so key. I know your copywriter, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's amazing, by the way.
So, well, just a thing though on that, if you said to my team, can you send me some information? My team's response would be, Sud, I'd love to send you some more information. I don't feel I understand enough about you to do that right now. Can we just explore a little bit further what you're looking to achieve moving into the next year? The point being is we are programmed to request more information. And it is valid that you will make maybe a more informed decision. But just as a bit of a tip, that is not an acceptable response. So our salespeople, for example, are trained to acknowledge and then divert and take the conversation further, so that person gets the information there and then in the call to feel comfortable enough to accept a meeting. Now, of course, that doesn't always happen, and the follow-up is key, and we've already talked about the follow-up. But just as a perspective, we're trained to overcome that.
Yeah, it's the thing. It's a brush off. Send me more information, which is really saying I'm not interested. Whereas I guess you're saying, delve more deeper into the person's problem. So when they do accept, or when they're further along the sales funnel. So if they're closer.
Correct. And then also they're then looking forward to that information.
Yeah.
Rather than it just being, send me the information, I'm never going to look at your email. Oh, we've now had a conversation. I'm actually quite interested in what you do. Okay, yeah, I'll take a look at it.
So it's further down. I guess when we had started off in our sales careers, sales and marketing were completely different divisions. And what you've mentioned in the things that you mentioned before is we're almost like kind of closing in terms of sales and marketing. It's very fluid in terms of the relationships you have. How closely should sales and marketing teams work together to make sure that their efforts are complementary? Meaning, should you literally be in the same room with marketing people, or should they, or how do you see that?
Well, if you can be, yeah. I mean, a lot of companies are set up to work remotely, geographically dispersed, across different time zones, continents, etc., etc. But yeah, I mean, in terms of what we've already covered, they need to be in sync. There needs to be regular dialogue. You can't go off on one route without informing the other. ultimately everything sales is doing is informed by marketing, and likely everything that marketing is doing is informed by sales. So there needs to be full synergy between both of those marketing and sales heads, and equally their team. So yeah, they should be hanging out.
Next follow-up question from that. You have, of course, your early career was in sales, and now that you're an actual founder and business owner, how do you run your marketing team?
Well, it's great. I mean, do you know what's really interesting is I'm much more interested in marketing these days. I have, done my 10,000 hours in sales, and I understand how to manage a sales process. I know how effectively to tell a story, take someone on a journey, sell an account. I've sold millions of dollars of software and services in my career.
And I've seen him do that.
So like I have that, skill. It's innate, right? It's just an automatic reflex. But, the requirement to build a global brand and also build global awareness requires marketing skills. And, I've had a lot of hit and misses, for example, with marketing hires that I've made. For 2024, I'm kind of stepping more into that role myself, stepping a bit away from sales and having someone manage the sales function that we're building at Sales Confidence. And for me, I'm a big believer. Strategy is fantastic, but it's all about experimentation and execution.
Yeah.
It's all about lots of little tests, A/B testing, trying things. Some things fly, some things die, some things flop, some things don't work. You've got to be, again, willing to consistently and constantly try new things. And I'm always coming up with reasons to launch a new campaign, have something to talk about, have something to announce. So just, our competitors just can't compete with that. Even though we're still early in our journey and we're a much more leaner team than most, our following is much vaster. Our engagement in our content is much bigger. The experience and the relationship people have with me and our brand is much stronger. And that's because I show up every single day, 7 days a week, 365 on social media. And that took me a while to realize, at the end of the day, we operate in a global world, and, Amazon doesn't sleep, right? And nor does Sales Confidence. No. So those areas of focus for me next year, where I'm going all in, is kind of live streaming.
Okay.
LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok live streams. For me in B2B, TikTok is the most exciting underutilized platform on the planet right now. And it's so misunderstood. It's so underutilized. There's so many skewed perspectives on it in terms of being a waste of time, full of balls, full of kids. No, it is a search engine for finding information, and its algorithm is incredibly smart and powerful. So I'm all in on TikTok in 2024. Podcasts, this is a great example of leveraging other people's audiences. For example, I know that I'm pretty tapped out on LinkedIn. I need to be showing up in other people's shows as guests in other kind of
like crossover kind of thing.
Exactly, yeah. So for me, how can you leverage other people's channels? How can you collaborate with influencers in your space? How can you dominate all channels, be always on? And, as Gary Vee always talks about, it's an attention economy.
Yeah.
Attention is the new oil. And I totally agree with that, because literally you've got split second to hold someone's attention in this small device that we look at 8-10 hours a day. But if you're the one that is the ones who's got the attention, you're building the trust, you have value, you have a service to offer, then you will win.
I mean, I think 3 key points you've mentioned is your greatest strength is agility, because you're a small team. You can move very, very quickly and outcompete your bigger rivals, or perceived bigger rivals, or whoever's grabbing their attention, and you can just follow your gut instinct. Second thing I think you mentioned was always on. I guess there's a movie, Money Never Sleeps, and it doesn't. So you got to hustle hard, depending on how kind of lifestyle you want to have, the journey you want to have. So, and I've seen you do these things, and I've seen you execute so many things. So,
what's slightly funny though is what people find amusing. I really do not care what people think, but I do care, right? What I mean by that is I'll sit on a LinkedIn live I have, I don't know, 10, 20 people cold call me during the week, Monday to Friday. I'll be sitting by myself doing a LinkedIn live on a Sunday afternoon, no one watching. But if you came on there and you were trying to pitch me, I'd have a conversation with you. It's what you do when no one watches, so that you are ready when people start watching you. It takes one video to change your world, right? And so I think that I'm showing up every single day because there will be a moment in time. It might be an interview, it might be a radio show, it might be a piece of content I put out, it might be a video. There will be one thing that will just blow up. Now, if you don't have history, then you're not going to be able to capitalize on that opportunity. If you never show up, you're never going to get that opportunity. So for me, I just keep showing up, and then eventually I know there'll be a tipping point where the whole world will know what I'm all about in terms of my target audience. And like that's what is like optimism and hope and dreaming big. Like I just know, I can feel it in my bones that there's going to be a moment in time where literally just one thing will tip, and then everything I've always done will be appreciated, valued, understood, learned about. That's exciting.
No, I've spoken to so many of your sales confidence customers, and they love being there. And it's you tasked us with the responsibility of recording some testimonials, and literally every single person we spoke has so much love for you in terms of what you've done, and also the platform that you've put together. And it's very rare that you have that much level of, it's genuine, like level of trust and authenticity that kind of exudes from yourself and through your team.
I think, to be honest, I still think it's misunderstood. I still feel very misunderstood. There's a perception about me where, I'm 6'4", like, I'm fairly well put.
Pretty much the same height.
I'm fairly well put together. I kind of, my business is called Sales Confidence. I look a bit like I'm full of myself. It's actually not true. Like, I created Sales Confidence because I lacked confidence. I just understand how to unlock it. And that's a gift that I want to give to other people. And the other thing is, like, I genuinely do care. And I genuinely want to see people that are around me and part of my community, or come to my events or follow my content, reach the next level in their life or career, whatever that means to them. Because I just felt at times that people didn't give me the hand or support me in my career. And the other thing, about my story is I'm diagnosed with bipolar disorder. I've been in and out of mental health hospitals. I've seen pretty horrific kind of living experiences of people that has very much grounded me. And while, yes, I'm pursuing wealth and capitalism and, riches and fame in some ways, I don't need any of that. Like, I'm very content with my lifestyle, but, I want to be that guy that people can look at. If I really think, okay, I'm getting a bit deep here, but if I think about those moments where I literally sat down on a hospital ward floor with a group of people, strangers, that are literally living in hell, and they are hopeless, and I've been hopeless, and for them to listen to something like this and go, do you know what, there is hope, there is possibility, there is something ahead for me. Not everybody needs to go out and achieve what I'm achieving or seeking to achieve. Maybe they just need, to get from where they are now a little bit further ahead, get a little bit more help, get a relationship, get a job, get some security, get some comfort. Because I've seen people that have absolutely nothing, and it's horrendous. So yeah, I think if I can spread, some optimism and hope that anything is possible, no matter your diagnosis or no matter your circumstances, your upbringing or your background or suffering or abuse that you've been through, then I'll feel great about it.
Well, that is very deep. I remember when you posted about your condition on LinkedIn, and it really moved me because I had my own, this is like a few years in when I knew you, I had my own perceptions of what you're like and who you're about, and that really changed my view of you as a, fuller human being, and it made me, I have my own struggles, and, I have had, my friends have, and people around us, everyone has these kind of mental health issues, but it made me appreciate you so much more because, everyone's going through this kind of inner dialogue or narrative that they keep telling themselves. And there is hope. And I think there's a meme I saw on Instagram the other day, just said like, look, just take one step at a time. As long as you're kind of moving forward towards where you want to get to, then, you're winning, no matter how small that may be.
Totally agree. That's it's a great reference and a frame of mind. Literally just take that next step. And so many people don't, they're stuck, and that's sad. And also so many people are held back by negative self-talk or negative experiences. And honestly, not to name drop, but I'm going to, I had lunch with Peter Jones from the Dragon's Den the other day. And, one of his lines, and he educates as part of his Peter Jones Foundation, entrepreneurial students and kids, is like, there's no such thing as failure. Now, unfortunately, school marks you down as a failure when you fail, but it is genuinely all feedback. It's feedback so that you can adapt, learn, do something else, try something different. You can't fail. So just give it a go. Take it that step, and then take another one, and then take another one. And then you might get knocked back 2 steps, but you just got to brush yourself up and you got to go again. One thing, if I think about, what I want on my my tombstone, it would be this: James tries hard. I'm a trier. That's nothing. That's one thing nobody will ever take away from me. I literally am a try hard. And maybe I've tried too hard sometimes. I actually do believe that, there are easier ways to get stuff done. But I will never stop trying to achieve what I want to achieve and to support the people around me achieve what they want to achieve. So yeah, like that's in essence, what I'm about. I'm a try hard. I'll keep showing up. I'll keep brushing myself down. And, however hard it gets, you always find that there's a route out of it. And I've been in those dark, low places, and it's scary. But I also recognize that they've always passed. So therefore, you can get through it, however difficult it is, and however hard or uncomfortable or upset you are right now. There's always some light somewhere.
Perfect. This isn't usually the kind of things we talk about, but I think this is, we're all human beings. Whoever is watching this, whether you're in sales, marketing, or whether you're in, I don't know, engineering, this is advice for everyone. And I've seen you live through this and, live to tell the tale. And I'm very proud of what you've achieved. And long may your successes continue.
Well, let's keep doing it.
All the campaigns that you've run and marketing teams that you work with, this probably is going to be a very hard or, question to kind of answer because it's very unspecific. But has there been any marketing channels or strategies that have been quite effective in driving high quality leads?
LinkedIn, 100%. There are things that you can do, behind the scenes to consistently connect, communicate, and engage with people. I think letting marketing access to your leadership's LinkedIn profiles, a bit naughty, but it works. And it can help drive mass engagement, because obviously the more senior the person or the founder has a lot of reach. So without a doubt, I find that amazing. Going live is, for me, the game changer right now, because most of the platforms are notifying your audience that you're live. And even if they only come in for a split second, you are top of mind for their day. And if it goes further and they hang around, even better. So if you can build a schedule around your leaders that number of times a week they're going live, honestly, it's a game changer. I had a great example the other day. I was on a LinkedIn Live just chatting, and we got an email from a prospect. Just seen you live. I know I need to get back to you with my decision. Should we do it now so you can announce on your live that I'm going to go ahead and become a member? And that, honestly, in that moment, that magic, I was like, wow, this is powerful. My team's been calling him, been emailing, he's been unresponsive, but there and then it was live, it was real time, interactive. He saw us, he added to his relationship with us, boom, he made a decision and he went ahead. Wow. So, those going live is a massively missed opportunity from a campaigning perspective. I also think kind of, micro interviewing and just generally interviewing your prospects and customers for podcasts or street content or conference content is very underutilized. And of course, I'm in the events business, and relationships do matter. The idea that you as a software company or service company don't bring people together is just a massively missed trick. People care about people. They care about relationships. If you can host the event, small dinners, small networking events, small workshops, bigger events, you're going to win.
It has that kind of compounding effect in a way, like you're bringing people in the real world, you're top of mind on different channels, and you're kind of really, the sphere of your influence kind of increases as you go along. Even if you were to reach one person, but they'll be kind of someone who's got warm, good feelings about you, they will tune in again, or they're maybe likely to spread the word.
Absolutely. The other major tip is, and what we've done successfully is, we've essentially made sales leaders in the SaaS profession famous. They didn't have a outlet, a community, a platform to share their stories, and salespeople fundamentally, are driving the growth of a business. As well as marketing, but there's a lot more marketing communities, marketeers hanging out, visibility of them. But sales wasn't like that. So, you've got to make your customers the hero, and you've got to tell their story. You've got to promote them. And, the most successful technology companies are ones that have impacted the careers of the individuals that purchase their software, and then go and tell the story of the impact that it's had on their career. Then those people don't leave you. They keep coming back and buying your software because you've made them feel special, you've told their story, you've looked after them. So, if you can really elevate your customers and tell their stories, that's a mega win.
That's gold dust. There are a few companies I've used, or SaaS tools I've used, who I will probably never stop working because they've just been super useful to me. Next up, oops. You deleted that. I know we kind of spoke about this, but if you could give us like a blurb or a very short, sentence on this, or a paragraph, what kind of content and engagement strategies are used to educate and engage leads, so they, before they even hit your SDRs, what can marketing teams do to kind of get your potential audience excited, or even if it's a very small scale?
So it's it's a VSL, it's a video sales letter. So a link that points to a landing page or a funnel using something like ClickFunnels or your web platform, and on that page is a video overview, less than 2 minutes, and explainer video explains the value, the opportunity, the benefits, the stories, and then that leads into some text-based content, some testimonials, and then there's a click call to action to learn more or book a call. Comes back to the video.
Great. How do you address common objections or concerns that potential customers may have from a marketing perspective with your business and also the other businesses that you've worked in before?
With video.
Okay.
Same answer. Literally, testimonials. Like, you go to our website, I've got tons of interviews with our members, that are raw, honest, not overly edited, and just giving their honest perspective on their experiences. Again, there's nothing more that can communicate the power of someone's experience than them being interviewed and telling you exactly what that experience was. So that is front and center.
And it's real, it's authentic, and also it's coming from people who look like them. So the SDR of XYZ company, if someone else sees that, then they're like, oh, okay, so this is a company and this is what they do. So, I love that. And I've seen or produced a lot of these videos myself.
Yeah.
I think we've covered a lot of ground here. I want to get you to take one step back. You've been sales, you appreciate the world of marketing, and you've kind of seen both processes from the inside out, and I guess you've had to kind of relearn and re-educate yourself in lots of different things. What are you going to do for next year in terms of just your marketing spend or strategies?
Yeah, so this year, once again, I attended Funnel Hacking Live, which is owned and delivered by ClickFunnels and a guy called Russell Bronson. And in my opinion, it is the world's best conference for marketers, entrepreneurs, and founders and creators. And if I think about the insights that I'm going to implement in 2024, it is going to come back to stuff I've already covered. It's going live every single day, being accessible to my audience, creating constant content, shorts that are active all around the clock. It's showing up as a guest on other major platforms, influencers, key figures. I'm also releasing a book. I recommend that everybody should look to publish their own book, and it's called How to Build Sales Confidence, built around the philosophy of mindset, well-being, and performance. And so that's going to be like a key asset, lead magnet for people to, at a low ticket, low level of investment, learn about me, how I think. If they like it, then they might decide to join our membership, for example. So becoming as a key person of influence is, as Daniel Priestley talks about, highly recommend you should follow him. That's kind of another key part of the strategy. Elevating people in my team. I really want to tell the stories of what's the SDR journey at Sales Confidence. Elevating our employees, elevating our team members, elevating our members is going to be another one. And then for us also, more events. We're going to do a US roadshow. So we're going to be showing up in Austin, San Francisco, Boston, Chicago, and New York. Oh, wow. And while we're there, we'll be doing intimate dinners, live events, workshops, content. And that's going to be interesting. And then also on the collaboration part with influencers, we're going to be putting on, weekend retreats where we might get 20 mega star influencers together. It's almost like a Big Brother docu-series, 24-hour filming, conversations, interactions, banter. All of that will be churned out as content you can use for 3 months.
Oh, well, James Key pretty much he's going to be on Netflix at some point next year.
that is on the wish list.
From the small screen to the big screen.
Absolutely.
So final questions for this segment. How do you see the future of marketing from purely sales perspective? Not necessarily for sales confidence, but you've worked with loads of talented and amazing marketers.
There's so much interference in terms of technology. There's so many channels. There's so many various ways that you can go to market, focus your kind of marketing energy and your budgets. And what you can't forget is that it is still fundamentally about people. However much automation, AI, machine learning, shortcuts, chat, GPT, workflows, task management, efficiency, it is winning over the hearts and minds of people. And that needs to be at the front and center of your strategy. How are you impacting the way that your target audience thinks, feels, and acts? And if you can connect those in that framework of how and what we're producing, getting someone to think, how do they feel when they interact with us as a brand? And then what do they do in terms of a next step? Act. That framework can inform all of your strategy in terms of driving and scaling, the future of marketing.
Wow. The last question I had was, and I think I know what you're going to say, but I'd like you to say it anyway. What is the one thing that the CMO, VP of marketing, or someone in the C-suite who's looking after marketing can do to help and aid the sales department?
Yeah. The one thing they can do is listen to sales calls.
Yeah. I knew.
And also spend time with their customers and prospects. You don't be locked in an ivory tower just because you've got the big title now. Don't forget how you understood marketing earlier on in your career. You have to put yourself out there.
These guys are in the coal face and they're paying your salary. So listen to what they have to go through every day. Next up, rapid fire questions. And usually, okay, so with zero calorie marketing, usually we send all the questions to our guests before. Whereas I know James, and this man, he's a wealth of knowledge, so I haven't. So I actually just kind of didn't send anything to kind of prepare. So these are rapid fire questions. So hopefully we can get some quick answers from you. And I am going to put you on the spot for a couple of these ones. Three must read books. Could be sales, marketing, could be novels, any.
Yeah. So the first thing, the book that comes to mind is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. That is just like an absolute staple for understanding business and mindset. I do have to say, Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, just tried and tested laws of how to show up in business and how to think about your circle of influence and the power of people and the power of, manifestation is really helpful. And then the other one's an odd one. It's a philosophy book, Sophie's World, which is an insight into the kind of different philosophical perspectives from, the great philosophers of ancient Greece. And
wow.
It's quite a big read, but I think it helps with kind of giving you an insight into ancient thought processes. Most of the laws that we live by have been thought up thousands of years ago. Self-improvement, self-help, business books, sales books, marketing books, they're all fundamentally based on laws that have been around for thousands of years. So you'll learn a lot from reading that. I don't read much philosophy anymore, but I used to. And I just think it kind of gives you a baseline of how you should think about today.
Well, I actually didn't know you read philosophy at all. So that's something, you learn something new every
Well, there
day.
you go.
This man has so many levels and depths, like Inception.
I love that film.
So next one, this may be putting you on the spot, okay, but I hope I'll get a very candid answer from you. Three SaaS tools that you cannot live without. It doesn't necessarily have to be a premium sponsors for sales confidence.
I mean, Gmail, like I Google Meet, Google Drive. It's so funny how many people get on a Google Meet with me and they're like so snobby, like, oh, I haven't used Google Meet in ever, and like I use Zooms, and I'm like, listen, it's exactly the same, and it's so reliable. So Gmail, the Google Suite, is absolutely fundamental for me. I would have to say HubSpot.
Yeah.
From a CRM perspective, the mobile capability, the ease of use, the functionality is super valuable. And then it would probably now be ClickFunnels.
Okay.
ClickFunnels from a funnel building perspective and creating landing pages and creating, buy now pages, bump pages, any type of campaign or launch is so versatile, so easy to use, so well designed for converting that I just couldn't see myself using any other platform.
Okay. And another one.
You want
Could be a sponsor.
It would probably be, Cognizant for phone numbers.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, if you want to get hold of someone, you need their phone number. And Cognizant is a British founded sales intelligence platform, founded by a good friend of mine, James Islay. They're a global business now, and it's just simple.
Yeah, Cognizant is just literally down the road from here.
Yeah,
Sean.
That's right.
Love them. I met a few people from there, and I need to catch up with them. Mental note there. You've mentioned a whole load of people that you follow or are inspired by, but just as a summary, who are some people that you follow religiously, or kind of inspire you?
Yeah, so I recommend this for everybody. I've got my top 20 dream list of people that I admire, follow, want to live like, be like, experience, and there's 20 people on this list. So one of the fun examples is Jamie Foxx, actor, artist, creator, comedian. Like, I just love his origin story, which is essentially he showed up in LA. He got himself a property with a studio that he could barely afford, and then he started to host all the parties.
Mm.
So all the major rappers started to hang out with him, saw he had a studio, came in the studio, wanted to drop a beat, and then Jamie Foxx was like, "Oh, look, can I add a vocal to that?" And before he knew it, he was collaborating with all these mega stars. Like, he's just very funny, very charming, and I just like what he's about. So that's one example. The other is Simon Squibb. So Simon Squibb is a UK influencer. He's got millions of followers. His whole philosophy is give without take, and he basically helps people fulfill their dreams in business and starting up companies. And he's become a good friend of mine this year, and I never discovered him before TikTok, to be honest. But this guy is so genuinely motivated to help people achieve their dreams. Like, it just kind of beams off the guy. And he's already a successful multimillionaire investor, already achieved what he wants to achieve for himself, but now he's helping people with his platform Help Bank, and you just see him in action. It's really cool, it's really genuine. So there's some things there I'd like to model. And then the third is, and I mentioned him already, it's Peter Jones. Peter Jones went to my school in Windsor, the Windsor Boys School, and he's so kind of multi-talented, versatile. He's a media personality, he's an investor, he's a tycoon, he's someone philanthropically giving back to the next generation of entrepreneurs. He is very humble, he's very funny, he's very cool, he's very charming. If I could get close to modeling like his life, then it's going to be a fun ride. So there's three.
Perfect. Final words that you want to leave our wonderful and beautiful audience with, and contact details. How can people get hold of you?
Sure. Well, thank you for listening. Hopefully you've enjoyed this conversation with Suds and I. Suds is a great guy, so make sure you stay on top of his content and how things are evolving. And also, if you're considering, video content production, Suds and interesting content is where you need to go. From my perspective, you can follow me, connect with me on any platform, LinkedIn, TikTok, YouTube. James Ski is my name. And, would love for you to follow the journey, because ultimately I'm on a 20-year kind of plan right now. And, this is just the beginning. It's only going to get more interesting. So, come along for the ride.
Perfect. We will have you on for next year.
I look forward to that.
And every day, like the things you've helped me with have kind of ripple effect. It still stays with me, and it's kind of like as I continue my journey, I'm kind of pushing myself every day. So I so appreciate you being in my life.
Likewise, Suds. Thank you for having me today. Thanks to the team. I look forward to seeing this progress.
Perfect. So this is the last in the series. If you want to see some of the other videos that we recorded, please do so. And please follow us on all the channels. And thank you again for listening. And we'll hopefully see you on the next season, and see you soon.